Today's episode is brought to you by SeatGeek, the presenting sponsor of the Bill Simmons podcast and Channel 33. Enter promo code BS and buy Broncos-Panthers tickets on SeatGeek, and they'll send you $100 on your purchase. Don't be fooled by other sites that tack hundreds in extra fees for the big games. SeatGeek's Broncos-Panthers prices are the lowest out there. They always show you the full price up front, no hidden fees. To get $100 off your purchase for SB50, download the free SeatGeek app, enter promo code BS. And here's a little tip. Any home security company that says it's free has a huge contract attached. 3 years, thousands of dollars, you are locked in. Well, there's a better way to protect your home. Oh yeah, I'm talking about our buddies at Simply Safe Home Security. No long-term contract, 24/7 protection, $14.99 a month. It's the only security I trust. For my special 10% off discount, please visit simplysafebill.com. And today's podcast is not brought to you by the restaurant in Toronto that Blake Griffin punched the equipment manager. All right, we're off.
Yeah. Clear enough for you? All right. Yeah. Can you picture us rolling? Can you see me rolling?
All right, as promised, my Time Warner colleague, we're buddies. We're teammates now. Charles Barkley, what's happening?
It's about time you moved over to a winning team.
I know. Well, and you were always the smart one. You always knew to stay where you were and to not mess with a place that gave you all the freedom that you enjoy as a creative person. It was good.
Well, if you're gonna do this, you don't want to be a company man. You want to be your own person. Listen, first of all, I like ESPN.
Yeah.
But
Not
they have
really.
an agenda.
Yeah.
It's kind of like I was telling somebody recently. It was only the playoffs game's been over like 2 days, and because they got a lot of content and BS2 on their radio network. They've already started the black-white thing, Peyton Cam, good versus evil.
Yeah.
And see, that's one of the things that really annoys me about talk radio, because race is too important to just talk about it flippantly or make up stories about it. And like I say, because I pay very close attention to what guys say, and you can already see they're already starting the black versus white, the good versus evil, which is another way of looking at race. And you got two of the greatest quarterbacks ever, but I hate phony BS. That's what's got me mad already. And we still got 2 more weeks of this crap.
And you have a special attachment to Cam because you paid him like $10 million to go to Auburn, right? How much did you? What was the final check?
Well, I didn't give him anything, but they said no. Let me tell you that they say allegedly we gave him $200,000.
Yeah,
that might be the best money ever spent in the history of college sports. I told my financial people, if I give y'all $200,000 and y'all turn it into Cam Newton, y'all got a job for life.
Right. Wait, was that money? Was even money like that to that degree floating around in the 1980s?
Hell no, man. First of all, I wasn't highly recruited.
Yeah.
But I've admitted before I took some money from some agents.
Yeah.
From 3, and first of all, I think you should be able to do that. Because I actually think we should let these college players borrow money. I think and I'm not talking about $300,000. I think my total was like. I can't remember. It was that's 84. I left in 84. So 82, 83. I probably borrowed about $30,000 total from agents.
Well,
and
we
I paid
could
them
tell
back.
that. We could tell that from your suit at the draft. It wasn't
listen, man.
It wasn't a lot.
Listen, when you're poor, I wasn't even. We had so little money. We wasn't even poor. We were poor. P.O. and it's so funny looking at going back because I give Karl Malone a hard time.
Yeah.
Because his suit might be worse than mine.
Yeah.
And now you see these guys come to the draft and they only been out of high school for 6 months. And they wearing $2,000 suits.
Right.
Times have changed.
Yeah, they have stylists and stuff, and it was so much more fun in the 80s and 90s when nobody knew. Nobody knew this stuff was going to be on YouTube. Nobody knew what YouTube was. It just lives on.
But you do notice the difference. The game is has changed, and
Yeah.
I'm not some old guy hating on the NBA. I don't like the level of basketball. I mean, you look at the NBA today. You got the Warriors, you got the Spurs, you got Oklahoma City, You got the Cavaliers and you got Toronto. You got 5 good teams in the entire NBA.
Yeah.
And that's not fun for fans. I don't think it's not fun for me because I don't want these. First of all, I don't want to watch bad basketball, but I don't want to see these fans paying all this money to go see bad teams play. I mean, the players, even when they're on bad teams, they're still making $10, $15 million. But I don't think it's good for fans. So my biggest gripe, man, we got to find a way to keep these kids in college at least 2 years. We bringing guys to the NBA who don't have any clue how to play basketball or help a team win, and it just sucks.
Yeah, and it does seem like we're trapped in this lottery system now, where it rewards failure. The worse you are, the better draft pick you're going to get. And then we're putting these people in situations where you're 19 years old, you're Karl Anthony Towns, you're just on a young team, you have a shaky coaching staff, and what are you learning? Like, I look at you, you're a great example. You're one of the best 25 players ever. But you went to a situation, you're in Philly, you're a kid, and you have Dr. J and Moses and Mo Cheeks. Nobody has that now.
Well, and that's my biggest gripe in the NBA. And you saw the Sixers just brought in Elton Brand, which I think would be great. Yeah. You know, you named all those guys. Don't forget Bobby Jones, right. Andrew Toney, Clement Johnson, Clint Richardson. These guys were like father figures. They taught me how to save my money. They taught me how to dress. And they talked to me about things in life. And I actually think and the thing that bothers me, we talk about kids staying in school. Look at the 10 greatest players ever. Now, Kobe Bryant, LeBron, they're legendary.
Yeah.
But in my opinion, Michael, Oscar, Bill Russell, Kareem, Wilt, those are the top 5. Then you got Magic and Bird and Tim Duncan. All these guys stayed in college more than 1 year.
Yeah.
Like Kobe's the exception, him and LeBron. And Kevin Garnett's in that situation. But what's wrong with guys staying in school? It really didn't affect those guys. And I know their agents and their family members are greedy pigs. They want them to get to the contract and get to the second contract as quickly as possible. But we've got to find a way to help the league because this is not good basketball right now. Thank God for the Golden State Warriors, because if it wasn't for the Golden State Warriors, there really wouldn't be a reason to really watch a lot of basketball.
Well,
I know the Spurs got a good team. Like I say, Oklahoma City, I picked them to win the whole thing. But after that, there's nothing happening in the Western Conference. And then in the East, you got Cleveland. Toronto's playing terrific. But there's nothing happening right after that. Maybe the Bulls are solid, but the rest of the teams are mediocre at best.
There's an easy fix. You were talking about the agents want to rush these guys into the league because they can get to the second contract faster. And I don't think people realize how important agents are in this whole thing. They just want to get paid. Agents want commissions. That's all they care about. They are not, for the most part, working for the best interest of their clients. But there's an easy fix, right? Because these rookie year contracts, you come in, I think after like your third year, you can start talking about an extension, fourth year, whatever. I think they last 5 years total. But they could change it so that if you stay in college for 2 years, maybe you chop a year off that rookie contract. So either way, you're eligible for that second year contract at the same time. And I think that's an easy fix that would work. And for whatever reason, they won't do it. Because I don't think like the kid at Duke, Brandon Ingram, who I think is going to be really good, I don't think he should be in the NBA next year. He's 6'10" and 100 pounds. He's going to come in the NBA next year?
I agree with you. And I look at the kid at LSU, Simmons. He's a good player. But
my son.
He's not going to do great in the NBA next year. And there's that one kid at Kentucky who was supposed to be the best high school player in the country last year.
He's a mess.
And he's struggling.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait a minute. This kid cannot, because I'm starting to do my college basketball research now, getting ready for March Madness. I was like, okay, because the best player in the country is the kid from Oklahoma. If he doesn't win Player of the Year, it's a sham.
Yeah.
He's been the best player. And like I said, this will be an exciting tournament because there's probably 20 teams that could actually win this thing, maybe more. I mean, it's going to be one of the most exciting tournaments ever.
Yeah.
Because it's not top heavy at all. And anything can happen, so that makes it fun. But man, I want to do what's best for the game. Like I say, everybody's making a lot of money, and your fix is very simple. But when you're dealing with greedy people, it's never that simple.
Well, you look at Chris Dunn at Providence, who's really good, and he's also in the running for Player of the Year candidate. He is.
He's
22. And teams are looking at him like he's a lottery pick, but also if I pick him, I lose 3 years with the guy I could have picked. I could take a 19-year-old, and 3 years from now, that kid will be the same age as Chris Dunn. But then you flip it around. You look at somebody like you. Let's say they had the rules, or let's say college basketball in the 1980s worked like it did now. There's a chance you would have come out after your freshman year in college just to try to get the money.
No. I mean, it's easy for me to say no, but
how do you know?
Because you know you're not good enough. I mean, if you're going to be real, if you want to get paid, that's different.
Yeah, but a lot of people don't know. A lot of people don't know that though. Like you're more self-aware than some of these other kids. Like that kid at Kentucky, Shale Labassiere, whatever his name is. Yeah. He's not ready, and he's going to come out. And he's not self-aware enough if he comes out, I don't think.
Well, you have to surround yourself with enough people. Listen, I think I know we can't get myself and Michael Jordan all together. We should have a rule. We're going to stay for 3 years. Because your first year, you have success. Your second year, you struggle because they call it a sophomore slump, but it's really not a sophomore slump. A sophomore slump, I tell people, they just know who you are now. They got tape on you.
Yeah.
So you struggle a little bit your second year. So then it's up to you your third year to make that adjustment.
Right.
And then because you're not going to get a lot better between your junior and senior year. But if you make adjustments yourself at your junior year because of things that happened your sophomore year, then I think you're ready. I don't think we can get 3 years because the way I look at it is, okay, think about this. If you go to college for 1 year, that's really just 6 months. You're not going to get a lot better or stronger as a player in 6 months. But if we keep you in college for 2 years, you're going to get a lot better as a player, and you're going to get a lot stronger physically. There's a huge difference between 6 months and 2 years. Yeah. I mean, that's a huge difference. Well, and that's why I would like to keep them in college for 2 years.
And also from an immaturity standpoint, you're coming in when you're 19 and you're coming to a bad team. Like, look at... I know. I love Boogie Cousins. I know you have a tortured history with him, but you just look at the situation he's been in Sacramento. I think he's had 5 coaches, 4 or 5 GMs, probably 8 or 9 point guards, 2 owners. That's not a good situation. Like, imagine if he had gone to whatever the 2009 equivalent of the 1999 Spurs was, and he's there with David Robinson and Popovich and all those people. His career is completely different.
But that's the problem we have in the NBA now, because when you draft an 18-year-old kid, you're not going to get better. How good did Minnesota get when they got Wiggins?
Right.
Okay, now how much better are they with Karl Anthony Towns? They're not. So the cycle's going to keep repeating itself. So they're going to be in the lottery again next year.
Right.
So they're going to bring another freshman out of high school to play with another couple 20-year-olds. So it's just so they're never going to go to a good team because these guys aren't good enough to help a team.
Well, look at look at poor Anthony Davis right now.
I know.
He got screwed by his GM. They made some dumb signings and dumb trades, and now he grabbed the money. He grabbed the extension, and now he's on this team that really has no short-term future at all. And he's
zero short-term future. I mean, they're not a playoff contender. And listen, let's be realistic. Let's say hypothetically they make the playoffs next year. They're not a contender.
No.
And they probably not. And the one thing about being on a bad team when you got a great player like Anthony Davis, he's just good enough to get you screwed out the lottery.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's the way. That was like my last 3 or 4 years in Philly. I got us into the playoffs, but then when I went back because I'm not against tanking now.
Right.
Because if we're not going to win, let me get draft pick and some good players. And I think it's unfair when I hear the term tanking and people make fun of the 76ers. What did the Miami Heat do when they got LeBron? They tanked.
Yeah.
They traded every player on their team. The same thing the New York Knicks did, the exact same thing when they went after LeBron also. I just think what's wrong? What's the difference between tanking trying to get a big-time free agent or tanking trying to get young studs? I prefer to go the route of Oklahoma City, get young studs. That guy right there, if you look at his last 10 draft picks, every one of them can flat out play.
Except for Josh Eustace. Except for that Josh Eustace kid. Well, I think the tanking has gone back to I think it started in 1984 with whatever I think Samson, maybe 1983, something like that. It's been going on for 30 plus years. And the Celtics last year are a good example. I really wanted them to try to go for a playoff spot because I love the coach. I thought it would be a good experience for the young kids. And I wanted them to get a taste of what it's like to be on that big stage in round one. That's my team. And yet, so they get the playoff spot. But if they had tanked, there's Justice Winslow sitting there at number 10. And that's a guy who's a potential multi-time All-Star that they would have had they just lost a couple games down the stretch. It's frustrating. So we got swept by Cleveland,
So, I told you, I'm not against tanking. I actually agree with you totally. Listen, if we just going to barely make the playoffs and get swept, I'd rather have a lottery pick because you never know how those balls going to bounce. He slid all the way down to 10.
Right.
They would have been in the top 10.
Right.
More than likely.
Oh, no question.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you. So,
go ahead.
Your rookie year, 85, you play the Celtics. You make it all the way to the Eastern Finals. You have a really nice series against the Celtics. Bird ends up stealing the ball from Tony, and the Celtics advance to the finals. But you got a taste of being in some really big games as a rookie with the big stage. Wasn't that great for you?
It's over. First of all, you can't play. You're just a rookie.
You're right. You're just overwhelmed.
You can help your team a little bit. It's better when you can actually play, when you actually got control and can contribute. Like I was like the eighth guy on that team.
Right.
And first of all, I couldn't. You can't put me out there with Bird, McHale, and Parrish for long extended periods of time and say that we can beat the best front line of all time.
Yeah.
And all my guys were old too. In fairness, that's no disrespect. We were way past our prime. Doc, Moses, they were past their prime. But Bird and the Celtics were right. They probably had another 2 or 3 year run in there, I think.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
Well, when you were a rookie, that didn't stop you from you and Moses holding back Larry Bird as Dr.
First
J
of all,
punched him. I'll ever forget that.
Let me just tell you this, B. I was so mad that they fired me in that situation. Every time, and I'll tell you this, every time I see that clip, I'm so pissed. Because first of all, I would never hold somebody.
Well, you kind of held it back.
Well, when a fight breaks out, you just grab somebody trying to break it up, but nobody grabbed Doc.
Right.
And I'm holding Larry. Well, I would never hold. First of all, I would never hold another player and let him get hit.
Except for that one time. Except for that time when you let Larry Bird get hit over and over again.
Because I went to so when they called me from the commissioner's office, I requested a meeting. Because I got fined. I don't even remember how much it was, but I said,
you deserved
wait a minute. What did I get fined? Well, for what?
You held back the basketball Jesus. He's trying to get some punches in.
When a fight breaks out, you grab somebody to break it up.
Yeah.
You don't. Yeah. So, and I was really pissed, to be honest with you.
Well, you know who was mad after that game? The legend, Larry Bird. He was mad that Robert Parrish didn't grab Dr. J. Robert Parrish was just standing there with a front row seat to the whole fight, not doing anything.
I got no problem. I love Robert Parrish, but I blame Parrish now for my fine. I'm glad you told me that. Next time I see Robert, I'm going to say, man, you owe me some money, because if you had to grab Bird, it never would have been a fight, and I would have never got fined.
Well, I saw the YouTube clip. If you look really closely, you can see you and Moses screaming at Doc, hit him, hit him, hit him, we're holding him, get some punches in. Hold on one second, we got to do some business. Let's talk about our buddies at Stamps.com. Hey, we have Valentine's Day coming up. That means you probably want to mail a thoughtful gift or even a card to your long-distance girlfriend, your mom, your daughter, your sister, your niece, your significant other, maybe even your wife that you don't live in the same place for reasons that are unclear. Well, why would you want to waste 20 minutes finding a parking space outside a packed post office, then stand in a line that's way too long while listening to annoying people taking forever to mail holiday gifts and packages? Why would you do that to yourself? Here's an idea. Just use Stamps.com. At Stamps.com, you can buy and print official U.S. postage for any letter and any package using your own computer and printer. What's better than using your own stuff? All you have to do is sign up for Stamps.com right now. Use the promo code BS. happens to be my initials, BS. You get a 4-week trial plus a $110 bonus offer that includes postage and a digital scale. Go to Stamps.com, click on the microphone at the top of the homepage, and type in BS. That's Stamps.com, enter BS. And now, back to Charles Barkley. Wait, speaking of punches, we got to talk about Blake Griffin.
Yeah, we do.
So, all right, first of all, being on a team, close-knit team, you got 14, 15 players, you got 4 or 5 assistant coaches, you got a head coach, a couple equipment managers, trainers. It's a pretty intimate family-type scenario. When something like this happens, how traumatizing is it for the inner circle?
When it's high profile like this, it's traumatizing.
Like to the point where there's no coming back from it, or how do you repair it?
You can come back from it. I mean,
Okay.
I've seen teammates get to fighting. I've seen coaches and players fight. You always come back from it. The only problem is now every talk show has to talk about it. I was watching TV yesterday. We got to trade Blake. Blake is the worst person in the world. He hit an employee. And so you have to deal with the crap. That's the toughest part, dealing with the crap. Everybody's talking about you. When you screw up as a star or somebody famous today, you're gonna let the internet or every talk show on fire. That's the thing you have to navigate. You're a public enemy. I call them public lynchings.
Right.
Yeah. Every time you screw up, there's gonna be a public lynching, and Blake got to deal with that right now. Listen, man. Blake got to fighting with a friend. I'm not going to go crazy. Blake was wrong for a couple of reasons. The guy's too little to be punching him, but they're friends. But that happens. We've all got to fighting with a friend.
Right.
Like I say, I've been in the NBA for 30 years. I've seen coaches and players go at it. I've seen teammates go at it. Blake was just wrong, but I don't think it's like the worst thing in the world. I don't overreact like a lot of people do.
I actually feel like you were the first guy out of all the great NBA players, because let's face it, like 70s, 80s, nobody really cared about basketball that much. The ratings reflected that, and then Bird and Magic, 1984 finals, Jordan comes in, you come in, Malone, Hakeem, all of a sudden the league takes off, and you became the first, for lack of a better word, polarizing player. Like, you got involved in incidents in Philly, and they're arguing about whether they should trade you or not for 4 years, and you were feuding with local media people. And now I look at what you went through. Imagine that now in the internet era. It's got to be insane.
It's different. It's insane now. One of the reasons I don't do any internet, because I don't feel the need to talk to these fools.
Right.
I do zero social media. Because I think a lot of these people, they're just losers. I always say the internet is where losers go to feel important. And like I say, if you do anything wrong, you're going to get publicly lynched.
Yeah.
And the thing is, it's really more about jealousy. I don't mind people having a fair opinion of me or anybody else, but most of the stuff is driven by jealousy because their life sucks. And I like to say, I don't go crazy or overboard. I'm never going to do social media. I had some knockdown dragouts with Turner. They're like, everybody else does social media. Well, then they got enough people on that end, don't they?
Right.
I'm never going to talk to these fools because first of all, and especially in our job, when we pick a team, the other team fan base go crazy.
Yeah.
They think we care who wins. I can guarantee you, I never care who wins.
That was my least favorite part of doing NBA Countdown for those 2 years. I had one series. It was the finals. It was San Antonio, Miami, and I had both fan bases convinced that I hated them. And no matter what I said, the other fan base got mad. I'm like, how could I hate two teams that are playing each other at the same time? Like, I have to have an opinion one way or the other.
But you have to have an opinion on who's going to win the series.
Yeah.
But if you say anything bad about one of their players, they go nuts.
Especially the San Antonio people. Oh my god.
Oh my god.
I actually like them. They're like soccer moms. They can't handle it. They go crazy.
Well, they've got the best coaching probably arguably in NBA history. They got a great fan base, but they're so sensitive. And like, dude, I say you got the best coach maybe in NBA history. You got the best franchise in history. I mean, a model organization.
Right.
But then if you pick against them, they go crazy.
Well, I do think the last 3 years, people have come to really appreciate everything that team has built. But I do think last decade, they were in the shadow of the Lakers and the KG Celtics, all that stuff. And it did drive them a little crazy. They were like, hey, Duncan.
They've won the most championships.
Right.
They've been in the playoffs, deep in the playoffs every year. What did they? I mean, and you say that, but they just go crazy if you don't say everything about them positive all the time.
It's crazy. If you could have spent 15 years playing with one of these two people, with the goal being simply to win titles, would you have picked Duncan or would you have picked Kobe?
I probably would rather play with Tim Duncan. That's not a knock on Kobe because it's been an honor and a privilege to watch Kobe Bryant play. I said that when he announced his retirement. It's been an honor and a privilege. The difference with Tim would be, number one, he's never going to bring drama to the table. I mean, you go back first because I've said this before too. One of the most probably disappointing things, if Kobe and Shaq had been able to just be cordial, they probably could have won 8 championships.
It's the greatest what if in the history of the league. It really is.
I mean, these guys are acting like babies with each other. You got the best, the second best 3, maybe. Well, I don't know what I count Oscar. You got 2 of probably the 10 to 15 greatest players. I got Kobe in the top 10, and Shaq is right after there. Magic, Bird, Tim Duncan there. Shaq, So these guys they could have won. I think, like I say, everybody, you give me a chance to play with a Kobe Bryant or Shaquille O'Neal, I'm not going to be petty arguing with either one of those guys. We're just going to be kicking people's ass.
Right.
And these guys are sitting here fighting with each other and arguing with each other. And I'm sitting here like, dude, the rest of us out there who don't have a championship, we're playing with damn bums.
Right.
And you guys have got players that good, and y'all just can't get along. You don't have to be friendly. You don't have to be best friends, but just be cordial and just go out there and kick people's ass.
It's unprecedented. Like, you look at the 00, 01, and 02 Lakers, and especially 01, which was their best team. When they fought at the beginning of the season, then they got it together. I think they were 15-1 or 16-1 in the playoffs. And they just destroyed everyone. And they had really, unless Duncan's in there too, they had 2 of the best 3 players in the league in their primes at the same time. Like, that's going to happen once every 25 years.
You're right. It's not going to happen. And you think about it. Kobe won a couple more, and Shaq won 1. So
yeah,
and that was like X amount of years later.
Right.
So they would have probably could have won those 3 together, but. So people want to come to LA and play with those 2 guys.
It's funny that they won't admit that they completely blew that whole thing up. Sometimes they'll admit it, but then other times they'll be like, no, it was fine. We got along. It's like, no, you didn't. You guys
they didn't get along.
Awful. Come on,
we're
guys.
not stupid.
Yeah. Wait, so talking about teammates, like back to Blake, it never felt like Blake and Chris loved playing with each other. And I did feel like the Clippers were at the crossroads where you've just seen 4 straight years where their best 3 guys didn't translate into even a conference finals appearance. And this felt like a do-or-die season for them, for that nucleus at least. And
well,
Blake breaks his hand.
They can't get to the conference finals without Blake.
Right. But I'm saying, did you feel like this was a do-or-die, we have to trade somebody after the season if it doesn't work kind of year, even before Blake broke his hand?
I think that's a fair assessment. I do, because, if they don't win this year, like I say, they're going to be in the conversation if Blake can get healthy. This is a long way to go.
He broke his shooting hand. He's not going to be back in 4 weeks.
Yeah, but listen, they just got to avoid those top 3 teams. It's all going to be about matchups. First of all, they're playing great. I mean, they've won 12 out of 15 without Blake. But they've been playing bad teams. They've only played 3 teams with a winning record during that stretch. So if he can get back and they can be in the top 4, which is going to be right, they might still be in the top 4 because Chris Paul is the best leader we got in the NBA. That's why they've been playing well.
Yeah, but they cannot play the Warriors in round 2. They need to get to that 3 spot because they know they beat the Spurs in a playoff series.
Well,
so they know they can at least do that.
No, but the Spurs are a better team this year.
I know,
with
but at least they know they can beat the Spurs, whereas the Warriors, I think they get killed.
But they match up better.
You think they match up better than the Warriors?
They do. Because the only way you're going to beat the Warriors, you got to have a great point guard because you can't let Steph just play offense. And they got that in Chris Paul. And Blake and DeAndre can pound them down low. I mean, you got to pound the Warriors down low because, they play small. Listen, I don't know if the Warriors would ever get a rebound if you got Blake and DeAndre down there. I'm telling you, they match up very well. I don't know if they can beat them, but even if you look at the 2 games they played this year, they all went down to the buzzer.
True.
I mean, that's a tough matchup for them.
True. It just feels like that it would be one of those series where the Clips had the lead in a couple games, and then the last 6 minutes the Warriors would just close them out. The Clips cannot close these games. This has been
because he had a disadvantage with DeAndre out there. He's a great rebounder. You can foul him.
Right.
I mean, that's why you need Blake, because Blake can make free throws. They can go small, and Blake can play down low and down. So that's why they need Blake. So I don't be fooled by what they're doing right now. They're not going to win deep until they get Blake.
Well, I mean, really, when you think about it, couldn't Blake be their version of Draymond, where you play him at center in crunch time? That's the thing.
Yes,
I can't believe they played DeAndre.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's my point. And he can dominate down low.
Doc doesn't do that though. He's afraid to do it. I don't know why. I wouldn't play DeAndre. Game 7 last year against the Spurs, he just benched DeAndre the last 6 minutes, and I thought that was one of the reasons they won the game.
But that just piggybacking on my point. I think you got to take DeAndre out the game in close games and in certain situations. But that only works against the Warriors, because I don't think it'll work against the Spurs, because the Spurs aren't going to go small. So you can't really go small against the Spurs. You can go small against the Warriors because they go small, but the Spurs are not going to go totally small.
Right. So
it's about matchups in a 7-game series.
I hate comparing eras because the era, especially the 80s, nobody even paid attention to the three-point line. I think Bird led the league in three-point shooting one year. He made like 53s or something. So it was like the Celtics, their whole idea of how to score was to get as close to the basket as possible, to pound the ball down low. You guys would just leave DJ open from 18 feet because it was a better option than just having McHale or Parrish torch somebody. And now you see the spacing is so much different. And yet, if you had the 86 Celtics playing against this Warriors team, wouldn't they just pound the hell out of the Warriors down low? I don't know how that would play out. How do you think it plays out?
I think it would play out very well. I mean, first of all, not to take anything away from the Warriors, they're a terrific offensive team and a terrific defensive team. But if you got a point guard and some big guys, you got a chance against them. I mean, you do.
So isn't that the case for the Spurs? I mean, they didn't play the Duncan card on Monday night, which you knew
I don't think the
Popovich
Duncan card was irrelevant. I think Tim Duncan is pretty much done. The guy who's got to play, he's, you know what's so funny? You say that, ooh.
Yeah.
If you want to ask, like everybody knows Kobe Bryant's done.
Yeah.
Who do you think actually playing better this year, Kobe Bryant or Tim Duncan?
I just think Duncan's on cruise control until April.
He's not on cruise control,
player.
dude. I don't think he got a lot left in the tank.
Well, he's been on one leg for 4 years.
I know, but that's the difference in the organizations. Think about this: the Spurs bring in Kawhi Leonard, MVP of the Finals, Defensive Player of the Year. Who do the Lakers bring in? The Spurs bring in an All-Star, LaMarcus Aldridge. Who did the Lakers bring in? So Tim Duncan can hide.
Yeah.
Kobe Bryant can hide.
I actually think
that's the difference.
I think Duncan would have retired if the Aldridge thing didn't happen, because I don't think he could have carried that.
Oh, no question.
Yeah,
no question. But now like I say, I don't think Tim have a lot left in the tank. He's the greatest power forward ever. But he can, I think Kobe Bryant's probably averaging more points than Tim Duncan. But it looks awful because the Lakers are just an awful team.
Right. Well, I just thought for me that Duncan not playing him on Monday was more symbolic, because I don't think Popovich was going to go into that game going, we are throwing the kitchen sink at these guys and trying to win. I don't think he wanted to show his hand yet, because that's what he does.
No, I don't think that's what happened. I actually think, honestly, first of all, who is Tim Duncan going to guard out there? You can't play the Warriors big. Tim Duncan can't guard anybody out there. So, first of all, I didn't overreact to that game. I thought that was just like a boxing match.
Yeah, they're supposed to win.
Yeah. Well, I just want to see what we got to do next time we play these guys. We got to play them 3 more times in the regular season, and this is a better matchup. We're gonna play small, which is where we're gonna have to play them in the playoffs anyway. And let's see what happens. And I guarantee you, Pop says we got Kawhi only shot the ball 6 times, and LaMarcus didn't have a good game. LaMarcus is gonna be the key. He's got to punish Draymond down low. He can't just go out there and get like 2 points like he did the other night.
Right.
You talk about the Celtics pounding them down low. That's got to be LaMarcus. If you can't let them play small, and LaMarcus just gets, I think he had 4 points. That's just he can't. He got to have a lot more points than that. And I think next time you see it'll be a better example because they got the. But I tell you who's dangerous: Oklahoma City.
I agree.
No team got. I picked Oklahoma to win the championship because there's no deeper team in the NBA than Oklahoma City. They got the most talent by far in the NBA, but their 2 best players go one-on-one all the time when the game's on the line, and that's the one flaw of that team. As great as they are, they're going to win a bunch of games because they got so much talent, but they never use Cantor, Adams, Ibaka enough, and that's going to be up to KD and Russell. Because they have the talent to beat, in my opinion, there's only 2 teams can beat Golden State. From a talent standpoint, Oklahoma City. From a coaching standpoint, it's going to be the Spurs. Because they're going to make adjustments game to game to game. But if you would just want to roll the ball out there, Oklahoma City against the Warriors, it'd be 132 to 129. Yeah. Every game in a 7-game series. And to see Russell and Steph go at it would be worth the price of admission.
I agree with you in the sense that the Warriors go into that series and they know that the other team has 2 guys that can go at them for 7 straight games, for 2 straight weeks, and that there's going to be games where they're going to be the best players in the court. And that's what San Antonio doesn't have unless Kawhi can go up a level. And it feels like it's happening in the regular season, but I still feel I remember that Clipper series last year where basically he could have won that series for the Spurs. He wasn't quite ready yet to just be like, I'm just going to beat my guy every time. That's what he's going to have to do this year, and we just haven't seen it yet. You know? Well,
I think he's starting to go there, but I told you they're going to make. But to me, the key is going to be LaMarcus. LaMarcus can't be a 6'11" jump shooter. Scoring 4 points when he's playing against these undersized power forwards, because when they got Draymond out there, who's a terrific player, they got Livingston.
Yeah.
When they got those little guys out there, he's got to punish them down low.
Quick question about Curry. I don't want to compare him to Bird, Magic, Jordan, like the all-time greats, because I
hope not.
He's got to do it for 10 years before we start having that conversation. But
thank you.
From just an offensive impact, just being magical, just being able to completely rip the heart out of another team offensively, he's at least in the conversation where you think about like Bernard King in the 1980s, the way Bird was in the 80s. The way Magic got to in the late 80s, what Jordan did, what Kobe was doing for a long time. There's something about what he's doing. It feels like it's on that level. And I'm not saying he's the same player, but the way he can kill a team and the way he can kill a crowd on the road and the way he can get his own crowd involved is starting to feel historic. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I think this year and a half is one of the great spurts in basketball history. Starting last year and obviously this year, this is one of the great runs. This is like Bernard King. I agree with that. Yeah. Obviously, Michael had probably a 10 to 12-year run like this. Kobe had a 10, 12-year run. Steve Nash had a run like this.
I agree.
Yeah, Steve Nash had a run like this. So, I mean, it's not the first time, but his last year and a half has been spectacular.
Yeah, it's weird to think of this little wispy kid that David Kahn passed on him twice, and then he became the best three-point shooter in the league. But now he's vaulted to this place I just did not expect. Like when he's taking these 30-foot threes.
Well,
And-
I think that his confidence is so high right now.
Yeah.
First of all, he's a great shooter. But, Bill, like with any sport, when your confidence kicks in, that's what makes you a superstar. Like there's guys who are really good players and who are all-stars. But until your confidence, where you believe in yourself so much, like I can do anything and they can't stop me, that's what takes you to the superstar level.
Yeah. Well,
And he's there now.
how much do you think Draymond helps him? Because I almost feel like Draymond's his Bundini Brown.
I think it's a combination. I think their team, everybody, like Klay Thompson, who might be the second best shooter in the world,
Right.
gives him that space, and then I think their bench is underrated. I think that kid Livingston has been playing fantastic.
Yeah.
I think they're the sum of their parts. I mean, obviously it all starts with Steph and Klay, but when Draymond plays, he's coming at you. You doubling Steph, and Draymond is coming at two big guys, and I call it fast break basketball in a half court.
Yeah.
We broke down like 5 of their plays the other night, and the team doubled Steph, and Draymond's coming at the big guys, and he's got shooters everywhere. So they are better by the sum of all their parts. They are like I say, Steph is the leader and the best player, him and Klay. But man, they're a team, and that really helps Draymond in his situation.
And they thrive in chaos. I know Wilbon's brought you to a couple Blackhawk games. Patrick Kane's a little like Curry, where the Blackhawks are always trying to get transition, fast breaks, like where the game's screwed up. People are doing line changes. All of a sudden, they got a 3-on-2, and that's what they're going for all the time. The Warriors like that, too. The reason I asked about Draymond, I'm talking more about a personality thing, because I'm not sure if Steph is a traditional alpha dog in the Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, Magic, all those guys where they're just force of personality, and it seems like he draws some of that from Draymond. And I wonder if Draymond wasn't on that team, if Steph would be as much of an alpha dog.
Well, he got great swag, but I think Draymond brings that personality.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting to.
Like, first of all, I don't even think Klay Thompson. I don't think I've seen him on TV all year.
Right.
I mean, I'm joking, but I'm serious. I don't remember seeing Klay talk on TV all year.
He doesn't talk much.
And obviously, Bogut, I think I saw him do one interview. I haven't seen Livingston. I think most of the interviews I've seen, even after games, it's been Steph or Draymond. But Draymond is the mouthpiece for that team.
Yes.
And so, yeah, your point. If that's your point, yeah. I mean, like I say, I don't remember Klay saying. I might have saw one interview all season with Klay, but that's it, man. The only two guys on that team who talk is Draymond and Steph.
Yeah, Klay easily could have been a foreign player. Like, he could be from Latvia and just be carrying that off, pretending he was Latvian. Yeah, the thing with Draymond, like, he played the best basketball game I've seen anyone play all year, where they went into Boston when they had their streak going. And Curry was off, and they were tired. They're on a road trip. And Draymond just wouldn't let him lose. And what's amazing about him is he carries himself like he's the best player in the world. Like, I think he really believes that.
Well, see,
and they
I'm
all
gonna
feed
disagree.
off that.
I'm gonna disagree. I mean, I watched that whole Celtics game.
Yes.
That was just a giveaway by the Celtics, man.
Well, that too. Yeah, we can't
God.
score in crunch time. But Draymond was all over the place in that game.
He was all over the place. But that game, I'm sitting there. The Celtics had 5 chances to win that game, and that's the one weakness. Isaiah Thomas, he's their closer.
Yeah.
He's their closer.
He's 5'2".
Yeah. And I'm sitting there like, oh, man. See, that's one of the reasons I would never coach. There's 2 reasons I would never coach. That game is one of them, and the Wake Forest game last night.
Oh, I didn't see it. What happened?
They had a 10-point lead with, I want to say, 45 seconds to go and lost the game. And I'm sitting there, and I'm pulling for Danny Manning because I played with Danny Manning.
Yeah.
They had a 10-point lead with less than a minute to go, and Virginia hit a 3, and they missed 2 free throws. Virginia hit another 3.
Oh, God.
They missed 2 more free throws, and Virginia hit another 3, and it's a 1-point game. Virginia hit 1 free throw. No, Wake Forest hits 1 free throw, and Virginia hits a 3 at the buzzer. From the side of from the corner, he banked it from the corner.
So that's where the coach ends up at the hotel bar for like 3 hours afterwards.
Oh my God! And I'm sitting there because you're at the mercy of your players, man. When you're a coach,
yeah.
And they have people's livelihood in the palm of their hands, and I'm sitting there like, because I'm pulling for Danny Manning, and to blow a 10-point lead with less than a minute to go at home. I mean, the crowd's like, I don't think I just saw that, did I? It was awful.
Would you have fired David Blatt?
No, he didn't deserve to get fired. He did not deserve. No, he did not deserve.
GM LeBron wanted to fire him.
Well, you know what? That's really unfair. I think, listen, LeBron deserves some blame. Kyrie Irving deserves some blame, and David Blatt. I said this last week on our show. They made Kevin Durant one-dimensional.
Kevin Love.
Kevin Love, excuse me. He's just standing out there shooting 3. That guy's he's a hell of a post player. And it reminds me of what happened in Miami the first year, where they blamed everything on Chris Bosh because they didn't use him correctly.
Yeah.
But LeBron was so great back then, it didn't matter. And Dwayne still had a little bit left in the tank, so they got through it. They blamed everything on Spoelstra. Remember the first year when is Pat Riley coming down?
Yeah.
The whole year. Because at one point they were 9-8, but the whole year was like, when is Pat Riley coming down? Or they blame everything on Chris Bosh. I see the same thing happening now. They blame instead of using Kevin Love. Like I say, if I'm LeBron, I says, Kevin, go to the box. We're going to go to you 10 times a game. Or I'm Kyrie Irving. Kevin, we're going to go to you 10 times. Like I told guys sometimes, hey, you're going to get this shot. I'm going to get double just for you to get this shot. Hey, I'm going to get double just for you to get this shot. You know they're going to double this guy. But I blame Blatt, Kyrie, and LeBron for not using Kevin Love. This guy ain't become a bomb since he went to Cleveland. Well, first of all, they have been winning, actually, but they still don't use him in the right way.
It's a bad conference. Yeah, I was worried when they got him because I loved watching him in Minnesota, even though that team stunk. He loved having the ball on the top of the key to the left. That was his spot. Or he'd go down low. But when he had the ball at the top of the key, they'd run little high screens for him, or that's where he was a really good passer. He could shoot from there. It was his favorite spot. And it's also LeBron's favorite spot.
But
so it never made sense. Well, that's what I thought. I thought they would either go high screen with both of them or they would alternate. Instead, they just threw him in the corner and they forgot about him.
And that's one of the reasons I say you blame Blatt for that to a certain degree.
Yeah.
But also, I'm telling LeBron, dude, go to that guy down low. I tell everybody, get the hell out the way. We're going to Kevin on the box. And LeBron's never done that. Same thing with Kyrie. Hey, man, y'all get the hell out, especially when LeBron's not in the game. If it's Kyrie and Kevin, hey, y'all get the hell out the way. We're going to Kevin on the box. Now Blatt deserves some blame for that.
Well, couldn't we say, though, if LeBron, and we saw this last year and everybody jumped down anyone's throat who mentioned this, but LeBron didn't seem to have a lot of respect for Blatt that whole season last year.
True, I agree with that. He never did it from the beginning.
But when you're the best player and you're not showing the coach that kind of respect, and he did it with Spoelstra too, doesn't that trickle down to the other guys? It's follow the leader at some point, right?
Yes, LeBron could have did a better job of being inclusive to Coach Blatt. He's been very disrespectful his entire time there.
Could you say that LeBron is way harder to coach during his entire career than maybe he's gotten credit for?
Well, I think he's probably hard to coach, but all great players are hard to coach because they want to do it their way. But you got to put a guy in there who's not intimidated. There's no way David Blatt's going to come all the way from Russia and get handed LeBron James. They're going to be tough on LeBron James.
Right.
So that goes with it also.
Quick break to talk about Audible.com. They provide over 180,000 audio programs from leading book publishers, broadcasters, entertainers, magazine and newspaper publishers, and business information providers. Their free app works on iPhones, iPad, Android, Windows, Kindle Fire, over 500 MP3 players. Also, if you own these books, you own them. You're not just renting them. You can access them whenever you want. Audible.com also created the Great Listen Guarantee. If you don't like a book, no worries. Just exchange it for another title. No questions asked. So why listen to sports radio and lousy music channels when you can listen to books? Right now, Audible.com offering a free 30-day trial membership that includes one free audiobook of your choice. Go to audible.com/BS to start your free trial today. And just for the record, my wife uses Audible.com. They listen to books in the car with the kids. It's great. Check it out, Audible.com. Was there a coach during your career that you undermined a little bit where you look back now and you go, man, I should have handled that better?
No, not really. I think that because when I listen, we had actual coaches in the NBA when I got there. You know, what I mean by that is they didn't care how much money you made, they were going to coach you. Billy Cunningham, when I got to the NBA, he coached me. He made me a better player. And not like today where these first of all, there's only 3 coaches in the NBA who got power, who is not intimidated by their highest paid player and things like that.
Yeah. Who are the coaches?
Yeah.
Steve Kerr.
Popovich is number 1. I think Doc Rivers probably got that type of power.
Not for much longer.
I'm trying to think.
I think Brad Stevens does. Brad Stevens is the only coach in the league.
He doesn't have a superstar making $25 million a year. So,
but he's the only coach in the league who will go offense, defense repeatedly in the last 2 minutes and just sit guys and treat them like they're in college.
Well, I mean, he can do that when he got younger. And I like Brad Stevens. I like what him and Dan Ainge are doing up in Boston.
Thank you.
I do. I like what they're doing. But, you know, you really won't be able to tell until a guy, like when you get a temperamental superstar. Like every superstar is not Tim Duncan and Tony Parker. You know, when you get how would Brad Stevens do with DeMarcus Cousins? That would be a test.
I want to find out. Can we find out? How do we get him to Boston?
Hey, man, you know, be careful what you ask for.
Oh, I still believe in Boogie. I just think when you're in like this happened to you. You got pigeonholed in Philly. Oh, Barkley's a pain in the ass. Oh, you can't win with Barkley. Meanwhile, you had shit teammates the whole time. No offense to your teammates.
But the thing, well, hey, listen, truth is the truth. But the thing is it too late to change Boogie Cousins? Because at some point, I don't think a player can change.
My fear with him is that he goes in little runs. Like right now, he's in a run where he's kicking ass. He's playing really well. But I've also seen...
like last night. First of all, I don't think he's in good enough shape. Number 1.
I agree.
But then, because like he comes off the monster game, then he goes 4 for 21 last night. I think that's conditioning. I seen him play in person, and he doesn't run hard at all.
Yeah.
And that's I know he goes crazy every time I say something about it. I think the kid's a hell of a player, but he's not in shape. And he went to a Mickey Mouse organization, which hurt him.
Yes.
But my question is, Bill, and it's a fair question, is it too late? Because he doesn't like hard coaching.
Can I give you my theory on this? You're going to love this. This is going to be your favorite. Yeah, you feel free to steal this on Inside the NBA on TNT tomorrow night. How about that plug?
Okay.
I think head cases in the NBA, and I think it's fair to call Boogie a head case, or we could call erratic personalities, whatever you want to say, enigmas.
Yeah.
I think when they hit their late 20s, some of that, they shed a lot of that stuff. And you look back in the history of these, like Zach Randolph, Rasheed Wallace, Bernard King. Some of the greatest players, it just takes them a while to get it. They're a little more mature. Maybe they meet the right girl. Maybe they're not going out as much. Maybe they just kind of level out a little bit. I would take a chance on Boogie.
Well, that works both ways. And I can't remember some of the guys right off the top of my head, but I always say this. I've been in the NBA for 30 years, and I've seen 25 guys who I said, man, when that guy gets it, we're not going to have a chance.
Yeah, Derek Coleman.
First of all, I've always said, I thank God Derek Coleman never got it.
He was the most talented. Him and Webber, the two best, most talented power forwards ever at that position, they never got it.
But, first of all, Webber's a Hall of Famer now.
Well, I know, but it took him, he wasted 6-7 years before he got it. He threw away the 90s. Come
he was
on.
Rookie of the Year.
I know you got to work with him.
No. He was. Wait a minute. Okay. See, this is an argument we have all the time because I think Chris has gotten screwed the last few times on the Hall of Fame. Okay.
He's a Hall. I agree. He's a Hall of Famer. No question.
But let me give you his credentials.
Yeah.
Okay. When he won Rookie of the Year,
and then got himself traded to a terrible team. He intentionally pushed himself to a bad team.
Hold on. And they made the playoffs.
Who did?
The Wizards. The Wizards. When he got traded to the Wizards,
they were like a first round and out.
But they were irrelevant until he got there.
Charles,
okay.
He was on a team with Tim Hardaway, Latrell Sprewell, Billy Owens, Chris Mullin, and he pushed his way to Washington, who had nobody.
But he still got him to the playoffs. Didn't he get him to the playoffs?
Nah, they were meaningless.
Okay. Then let me get the rest of it. Then he gets traded to Sacramento, who we never even heard of before.
Right,
and he gets them to the playoffs every year.
Yeah, and they had an awesome 5-year run. He was one of the best players in the league a couple years.
Yes, but let's get back to Derek Coleman. Derek Coleman's one of the few guys that I ever said that guy scares me right there.
Yeah.
If that guy had got his stuff together, they would have had to. They would have to change the rules.
Yeah, because he could shoot
that guy
threes.
Had it all. He could shoot threes. He could post up. He could shoot. He was ambidextrous. That guy, I said, whoa, this is a handful right here. Yeah. And I'm talking about, I played against Karl Malone in his prime. The best player I've ever played against is Kevin McHale.
Yes.
But Derek Coleman, that guy, I said, if this kid ever gets it together. But see, he went to a Mickey Mouse organization too.
Well, and that's what I hate about the NBA lottery system. It rewards failure. It puts young kids in a position to fail and to learn from other people who are failing.
Well, Bill, in fairness, all sports reward losing.
But basketball's the worst because it's like it's 12 guys.
But why don't y'all quit shipping these bums after 1 year of college to the NBA?
I'm with you. Well, maybe Adam Silver listens to this podcast. I like Adam Silver. I think his heart's in the right place. And to me, this is the most important topic for him right now, is to figure this out. Because Ben Simmons is going to go to a shitty team next year. And he can't shoot. And he's really talented. And he needs to be with great teammates on the right team. And he's going to be screwed.
But Bill, you're going to a bad team.
Right.
Well, that's the one thing about sports. You're going to go to a bad team. That's one of the reasons I think we need to really consider more keeping them in college for 2 years.
I'm with you. Well, imagine being Okafor right now. You're on that crappy Philly team.
Yeah, but let me tell you something. I actually think, people are too hard on the Sixers. I think the Sixers going to get good quickly. Listen, first of all, if they had Joel Embiid, they would have an outside chance of making the playoffs. Wait, they're in the Eastern Conference. They only got to win a couple games.
I don't know.
Listen,
I mean, he hasn't played one game.
I'm a big Embiid fan. Listen, first of all, they might not have even taken Okafor if they had Embiid. They might have taken another guard.
Russell was gone. I guess Porzingis was the big prize that they missed, but I think that would have been pretty ballsy.
No, Sixers had the number 2 pick, didn't they?
No, the Lakers had 2, I thought. Yeah, Sixers had 3, remember?
The Lakers might have taken Okafor, though.
No, Lakers took Russell.
I know, but they might have taken Okafor because they needed a big guy, too. I think they just take Russell because
you could argue that was a great pick because the way the league is going, you can't play more than one big guy at the same time. I can't believe all these teams who have 5, 6, 7 big guys, and they can, like the Cavaliers, they have Kevin Love, Mozgov, Thompson, Verja. They can only play one of them at a time. The whole league is shifted. Well,
I know you think that, but there's only one team that lives by small ball. Stop it.
This is just all these teams are measuring themselves. They're trying to replicate the Warriors.
You can't do that.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
The Celtics.
Listen, let's don't hand them the championship yet. How's that?
I'm not ready to. But look at my Celtics. They play 3-point. They play Isaiah Thomas, who's 5'2", Avery Bradley, and Marcus Smart. That's their crunch time lineup with Jay Crowder, who's a small forward, and then they play Sullinger, who's 6'6".
Well,
that's their crunch time lineup.
Well, that's why they're getting crunched then, because that's not a good lineup to have with the game on the line.
Do you want to plug inside the NBA?
Oh, man, Thursday night. Tomorrow night, we're announcing the reserves, which is going to be interesting.
Yeah.
I thought the fans didn't do a great job because Draymond Green and Kawhi Leonard should be starting.
I agree.
Jimmy Butler should be starting.
I agree.
But it's always interesting because they're always going to leave off a couple guys who deserve it.
Do you want to do you want to give your daughter's resume to try to get her a job in New York City?
Yeah, she needs a job. Listen, I told her at some point I want to retire.
Right.
I don't want to work forever.
I can only imagine what kind of setup you have for your daughter in New York City. What kind of awesome studio apartment she has.
Hey,
I'm betting it's nice.
She's the best kid in the world. She's the only kid I got. So she's got all. She's gonna get at some point. She's gonna get the keys to the castle.
All right. Well, Chuck's daughter is available for work, for hire.
Yes, she is. And I told her pretty soon I'm about to come see her. You know what she's gonna say to me? "Welcome to McDonald's. Can I help you, please?" She's got to get a job. I tell you, listen. Welcome to McDonald's. Can I help you, please? Learn. I should practice on that because you're leaning toward that way right now.
All right, Charles Barkley, thank you so much. Look forward to watching you tomorrow night with the All-Star Reserves. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, my brother. Take care of myself. Give my best to your family.
All right, thank you. You too.
All right. Okay.
Thanks to Stamps.com for sponsoring today's show. You can buy and print official U.S. postage using your own computer and printer if you go to Stamps.com. Use the promo code BS. You get a 4-week trial plus a $110 bonus offer that includes postage and a digital scale. Again, Stamps.com. Click on the microphone at the top of the homepage and type in BS. Thanks to Audible.com for sponsoring today's show. Their free app works on iPhones, iPad, Android, Windows, Kindle Fire, over 500 MP3 players. You own these books. You're not renting them. And they also have the Great Listen Guarantee. If you don't like a book, no worries. Exchange it for a new title, no questions asked. A free 30-day trial membership right now that includes one free audiobook of your choice, audible.com/BS to start your free trial today. Thanks to HBO. Watch the newest episode of Real Sports on HBO Now. Right now, download the free app for your 1-month trial. That's free. And thanks to SeatGeek, our buddies, the presenting sponsor of the BS Podcast and Channel 33. Subscribe to both podcasts on iTunes, Stitcher, or SoundCloud. Back tomorrow with another NBA personality mystery to be named. We'll be back. The BS Podcast. Thank you.